If you're looking for the team and wanted to skip out on the long intro, you can go to this timestamp, which will also be in the description. I have a lot to say here, so I don't blame you. Wow. I cannot believe it's been almost 10 years since the best team for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire on Mystic Umbreon. I had always contemplated on remastering this one because I was relatively confident in how it turned out. However, after further analysis with a buddy of mine, and of course you fine viewers from the comment section, we felt there were definitely some things that could be polished up on it. TLDR though, the best team is my subjective opinion of what I consider to be the 6 best Pokemon for all of the important battles, such as Rivals, Gym Leaders, Elite Four, Evil Team Leaders, and of course, the Champion. I'll be providing the locations of where to find these mons, a summary of what said mon is meant to do for the team, movesets, items to use, and abilities if applicable. First though, I have a couple ground rules I want to cover. Trade evolutions are unfortunately not going to be included, because not everyone has access to trade, and post-game mons are off the table as I am only counting the main story. AGM users will be factored in, but once we get all 6 members is when that potentially changes. However, legendaries will be included, and the reasoning for that is simply due to the fact they are a part of the game. The game gives you access to them. They count in creating the best possible team. One last thing, I streamed all of my gameplay for this best team video, so if you want to be a part of that, be on the lookout. If you do not like streams, I'll be uploading an entire condensed version of all the gameplay included in this video to Mist Magius if you want to hear my commentary as I battle. That video is up right now. I think that pretty much sums it up though. With that said, I also have a buddy here collaborating with me on this project. You can say hi now.
Hi now, Reference Getter here, ready to assist Mystic with this team because he really needed a tiebreaker with one of the team members and other niche researching needs, so the proper best team could take flight. As for me, just a game reviewer who covers Pokemon games sometimes. That's all you gotta know, so let's just get into things.
Nearly 10 years later, and I still stand on Swampert being the best starter for ORAS. It's pretty simple to explain. The Swampert line pretty much eliminates the early game, no questions asked. Its water ground typing only has one weakness. That means it walls everything practically. Even going into the mid to late game, it still has its usage, given its stats and massive mega. We will also be capitalizing on that, by the way. If you would like to find out why I didn't choose Blaziken or Sceptile, there will be a separate video going up explaining why, as well as explaining other mons I didn't use. For the moveset on Swampert, it's pretty self-explanatory. Waterfall, Earthquake, Rock Slide, and Rain Dance. Waterfall you get after defeating Wallace, Earthquake you get from the Seafloor Cavern, Rock Slide can be learned at level 28, and Rain Dance can be found as a TM in the Sea Mauville. As far as items go, the Soft Sand is a really good early game item that boosts ground type attacks. That can be found on Slateport's Beach from a tuber. After that, obviously, you're gonna use Swampert's Megastone, which is given to you by Steven as you approach the 4-tree gym.
Alright, so I'll just do Mystic a favor here and just take the fall for him, as I know people, myself included, will be tilted at the sight of our next mon since it just keeps showing up on these teams. Of course, being Gardevoir. While you have cute pitchforks shouting for Team Alakazam, thankfully it's out of the discussion entirely as a trade evolution. As for Gardevoir, this thing ends up being a powerhouse across ORAS thanks to that despicable fairy typing and its generally overwhelming offense. It's a mon, despite its limited early game performance, it'll be one that truly is able to snowball late game, especially once the Mega and its strong coverage moves enter the picture, truly being a mon that can earn its place on the team. You can find it on Route 102. Looking into Gardevoir's moveset, we have Moonblast, Psychic, Shadow Ball, and Focus Blast in its arsenal. Moonblast is gotten from the Move Reminder after fully evolving. 2 very easy heart scales to get can be found on routes 109 and 118, with the former being in the top right corner above the man in his Zigzagoon, where the latter is on a rock to the west side by Mauville, both hidden. Psychic is gotten at level 31, Shadow Ball is a TM found inside Mount Pyre, and lastly, Focus Blast is a TM buyable in Lily Cove's department store. As far as items are concerned, the Odd Incense will hold you over through the early game, buyable in the Slateport Shopping Center, whereas late game, the Gardevoirite will fix any issues you have with its stat line, which is gotten in Verdant Turf Town from Wanda after dealing with the primals in the story. The ability on Gardevoir doesn't really matter too much, although Trace is the preference, since its use cases are much greater than what Synchronize or Telepathy can provide. Overall, this kit leaves Gardevoir with a powerful showing, where it gets to solo so much content between the many Magma and Aqua Grunts, and its ability to simply mow down any shreds of resistance Brawly, Sydney, and Drake think they have.
Next on the team is going to surprise a chunk of you probably, as we have another water type. I know this sounds silly at first, but hear me out. Gyarados. Magikarp can be found immediately after getting the Old Rod from the fisherman on Dewford. From there, the journey to Gyarados begins. Why Gyarados? Well, it's simple really. Intimidate, and it's mega gaining access to the Dark type. I think the last Dark type I chose was an absolute mistake. Magikarp can be a pain to level up when you get it, but when I show you the gameplay this destructive behemoth can do, it may change your mind. For the moveset, we have Waterfall, Crunch, Ice Fang, and Dragon Dance. Waterfall I've already mentioned prior where to get. Crunch can be learned at level 41, Ice Fang level 32, and Dragon Dance at level 47. Gyarados getting Intimidate is a big factor, as it completely walls a few battles such as the Norman fight. That stab Crunch for Psychics and Ghosts is where it really led me to choosing it though. The item I recommend prior to Gyarados' Megastone are the Black Glasses, which can be found on a side entrance of Rust Turf Tunnel, and its Megastone can be found on Route 23 after some ledge hopping.
At the halfway point, we now reach a debate that has been going on since the original best team for ORAS. A simple question of Breloom or Hariyama. Both are Pokemon that only had one simple role, which is to defeat Norman, where ultimately we're choosing Hariyama, although you're not definitively wrong or anything for choosing Breloom. Honestly, both work here pretty well in the slot, but for our demands, Hariyama does edge out Breloom solely through its consistency. Mystic already referenced the video that'll go more in detail on why certain mons didn't make the cut, but here, Hariyama's bulk is much preferred, something that's even more notable with its preferred ability of Thick Fat, where sadly Sheer Force isn't that useful with our set. And Guts pre-statusing aside, isn't helping it blow through many more threats or keeping its longevity intact. Both mons are here specifically for Norman, and outside of him, they only really provide help with one extra battle, in this case, a more consistent Glacia matchup, whereas Wallace will be fine as is. There's multiple other small reasons why, but ultimately this is why we're going to Granite Cave for our fighting type. For the moveset Hariyama will be making a complete mockery of the game with, we have Close Combat / Brick Break, really depending on preference, alongside Rock Smash, Strength, and Surf.
You serious?
This is a joke, right? You have HM moves and that's really it. Well, that's another reason why we're using Hariyama. It only needs its fighting move with anything else as surplus. Surplus that it really doesn't need. It's an HM employee that you actually want to keep on the team, and while we do have some temporary HM shenanigans, we'll come back to the unpaid HM intern later. As for now, your convenience is completely covered with potential move deleter assistance before the Pokemon League if you really need the move slots. Just do yourself a favor and drip feed the attacks to Hari as you need them, so it has actual just-in-case tools like Fake Out or Knockoff until they're no longer needed. The choice between Close Combat and Brick Break is really just based on whether you want Hari to solo through everything with bothersome switching mixed in to remove stat drops, or the ability to remove light screen so our next team member can go 1-4 against Glacia, alongside more PP to be used throughout the E4 run. Close Combat is gotten at 52, and Brick Break is a TM in Pseudopolis, whereas its other move slots are gotten with story progression, with Rock Smash given before Watson, Strength after traveling through Fiery Path, and Surf after Norman. Prior to that, just use the level up moves like the two mentioned earlier, alongside Low Sweep, which can be bought in Marvel's Pokemart as your main source of damage, until you get late game enough to get decent fighting moves. Although just in case Norman is too difficult, we actually have a crazy cheat code that we discovered that could be very useful for this fight, as you could always use Dex Snap in order to find a Detect Makuhita, just to remove 100% of the battle's risks since the slackings will never be able to function. But ignoring the pain of Dex Snapping in a cave, and the fact that you can win without, it's more just a fun fact if anything. Lastly, Hari's item, which will be the Expert Belt, which can easily be picked up after the first Trick House run, simply requiring a cut user.
Going into the penultimate Pokemon on the team, we have Manectric's replacement being Magnezone. Manectric just wound up being too frail. Magnezone is carried by its stellar typing and stat line, striking a good line of defensive and offensive prowess. Magnemite can be found on Route 110 via Hoarding. To activate Hoarding more frequently though, you can capture an Oddish on the same exact route with Sweet Scent. We will also be teaching this oddish cut so we can go through the trick house and score the expert belt for the Hari line. Magnemite will be underleveled at first, but with Gen 6's experience share, it should catch up in due time. And you're not going to really need the Magnezone line for a bit anyways. Magnezone's moveset is going to consist of Thunderbolt, Flash Cannon, Volt Switch, and Thunder Wave. Thunderbolt can be obtained after helping Watson with the new Mauville fiasco. Note that in Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the primal events need to be completed first, as it's not like Ruby Sapphire and Emerald where you can get it after defeating Norman. Flash Cannon is learned at level 33 as a Magneton, Volt Switch is earned after defeating Watson, and this will pretty much be your primary attack for a good chunk of the game until Magnezone learns Discharge. If you keep switch battling and you defeat your opponent, Magna can just keep coming in over and over again, so Volt Switch's switch penalty never does affect you. Last is Thunder Wave, and that is learned at level 13 as a great utility option. Flash is also something you can teach Magnezone, mainly for Victory Road if you need it over Volt Switch. You can obtain the TM for that from a hiker in Granite Cave. For items, Eviolite Magneton is a very solid option until it evolves. The Eviolite can be found on Route 123. After Magneton evolves, you can give it the Rocky Helmet as an option. You get that in the Weather Institute.
Now, before we get into the last team member, let's discuss our unpaid HM interns. As for a majority of the run, your 6th team member really just does not exist, so you've got plenty of uptime for a dedicated HM user. For Mystic's run, he used a Linoon for cut, but realistically the oddish from Sweet Sending earlier can work well before you end up replacing it with the free Latios or Latios who can cover your need to dive, cut, and fly without needing to be benched until the big 6 comes into the picture, where Hariyama takes you at least through the endgame.
One last thing me and Reference discussed was a temporary team member, and the reasoning for that is the Cycling Road rival battle with Grovyle. It's the idea of needing to battle everything just so Magnemite and hopefully Gyarados can push through the Grovyle. I barely managed to grind Magikarp up to level 20 during that time, and that was because I forced literally every battle I could. If Gyarados isn't ready by the time you get the Cycling Road rival, more than likely you could lose. To mitigate this, me and Reference came to the conclusion of either getting a temporary Tailo or a potential Beautifly or Dustox specifically just for that fight. After that fight, you can box the flyer and proceed to just use Gyarados. We also figured this out after I recorded all of the gameplay too. As for the last members of our team, we have a very flexible 6 slot as our team of 5 already deals with everything it needs to do. However, I did mention in the intro that all Pokemon present in the game are allowed on the team. So we wound up choosing Primal Kyogre or Groudon depending on which game you're playing. If you're playing Alpha Sapphire, congrats! You have the ultimate rain team. And Kyogre makes it very easy for Mega Swampert to decimate should you not equip the blue orb onto it. However, just with the blue orb alone, it can pretty much solo everything. For moves, Kyogre is using Origin Pulse, Thunder, Ice Beam, and Earthquake. Honestly, the 4th move doesn't matter. Origin Pulse and Ice Beam are there when Kyogre is caught, Earthquake's location we talked about already, and Thunder can be obtained from the Lily Cove department store with the potential tech to teach the Magnezone as well if the blue orb is unequipped.
Moving on to Primal Groudon, it completely decimates everything in sight, the same way Kyogre does. In fact, it could be considered that it's arguably better, whereas for typing coverage reasons, I would definitely say so. Whereas Kyogre could function as 2 mons in one from simply removing the orb, Groudon is just one busted primal blob with its red orb that you're keeping glued to it, as its stats are frankly absurd, and its Desolate Land ability removes one of its 2 traditional weaknesses, where the other one is simply irrelevant under its titanic bulk. With the moveset of Precipice Blades, Flamethrower, Solar Beam, and Dragon Claw, the Elite Four run and even Wallace will be at their knees. Precipice Blades is on Groudon when caught, the Flamethrower TM can be snagged in Victory Road, the Solar Beam TM is in the Safari Zone, needing both Surf and the Mach Bite that you totally grabbed, and lastly, the Dragon Claw TM is banished to the Meteor Falls Bagon Room. Regardless if it's Groudon or Kyogre, what you have is an obscenely overtuned stat ball, which doesn't even need good type matchups because its matchups are already so good.
And that's that. The best team for ORAS Remastered. I want to go ahead and also apologize for the gameplay because the text boxes block off a chunk and it's pretty distracting. I just got back into streaming and such and I underestimated how it would look. Anywho, what'd you guys think of the team? Did you like it? Would you choose any other members? Tomorrow, a video will be going up of the potential mons that could have made the team, but sadly couldn't due to certain circumstances. So who knows? Maybe your favorite mon will be there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below though. Also, I wanted to thank Reference once again for joining me in this video. Sometime in the near future, him and I are going to be collaborating on a pretty special project together, so you should go subscribe to him so you don't miss that. I will leave his information in the description below.